everybody. Welcome back to another episode here at English Champion. Today I want to talk to you about something I've mentioned before previously, just in smaller bits in other videos, but I want to devote this episode entirely to this topic, and that is the notion that's becoming much more prevalent in the culture that at the university level, students should be considered as customers, especially as many institutions are struggling. We've seen many close their doors. They're trying to figure out ways to keep their enrollments up, keep people happy, all of that, and maintain a reputation to a certain degree, all the things that would keep them in business, so to speak. And one thing that has been talked about for quite a while now and has become more of a pressing concern is, well, should we be treating students as customers? After all, they're the ones who are paying in most cases. And so, like any business, if we're going to take their money, then we better give them what they want. And there is some logic to that, but I'm going to discuss why that is a really, really bad idea and why school is not like any other business, and people who think it is are really misguided. So I want to share with you, the reason I'm talking about it is because there was an article just the other day in Inside Higher Ed that was reporting a survey that they had done regarding students and whether or not they themselves view themselves as customers when they are going to school, and then what the people at the universities thought about it. So the headline of the article from just the other day says, a survey says students are customers. Subtitle, more than 3 in 5 students consider themselves customers of their institution, according to a new analysis. Is that a bad thing? So I want to dive into this article. It's not super long, so I'll zip through it and comment along the way, because there's some interesting data here that provides some contradictions, but also some of these people just I would argue, aren't thinking about this properly. And so I want to explain why that is. So the article starts with this. Public confidence in higher education is declining. Even students, most of whom say they're getting a quality education, question the value of a degree with respect to affordability. Fair enough, things are very expensive. Such doubts increase higher education's vulnerability to the threats it's currently facing. All this evokes the long-running debate over whether higher education can be viewed as a public good. And when revisiting that debate, it's instructive to know what students expect from their college or university, specifically whether they consider themselves not just students, but also customers. In Inside Higher Ed's first ever survey of college and university student success administrators, it's a mouthful, released last fall, 71% of administrators said that undergraduates at their institution consider themselves as customers. Parentheses, most of these administrators also agree that parents of students consider themselves as customers. Okay, so the administrators are assuming that 71% of the students at the school think of themselves as customers. But here's the interesting point. But what do the undergraduates themselves say? So we got the administrators' version of it, but what do the students actually say? According to a new analysis, nearly the same share of students, 65%, consider themselves customers of their institutions in some capacity, defined in the survey as expecting to have their needs met and be empathized with because they are paying tuition and fees. Okay, so isn't that interesting? There's a bit of a gap there. 71% of administrators think that students think that way, but 65% of students actually report thinking that way. Now, could it be that what they tell the administrators in private is more accurate than what they report on a survey? Maybe, but there's a 6% gap there. It's not a lot. They're saying that it's basically the same, but it's not identical. So the administrators are thinking more about the customer model than even the students are. All right. Again, it's not huge, but it is a little bit. So that leads into another piece of data where there's a discrepancy. So let's see what it says. Some 41% of the students over 5,000 2- and 4-year student respondents say they see themselves as customers both in their classes and across campus. Another 13% consider themselves customers only in their classes, while 11% view themselves as customers only outside of class when interacting with staff and administrators across campus. So what's really interesting here is the previous number said 65% of themselves consider themselves students or consider themselves customers. But this survey, once it gets a little more specific, actually says 41% see themselves as customers throughout their institution. So why the two numbers? What's going on there? Here's another layer to this, though. How satisfied are students as customers of their institution? When those who do not identify as customers, which is roughly 1,700 of those students, are asked to wear that hat for a moment, nearly half, 45%, say they are somewhat satisfied with their institution, and another, almost a quarter, 23%, are very satisfied. All right? So for students who don't consider themselves to be customers, they're like, no, I'm a student. I'm just here learning. I don't view this really as a business transaction where I expect to get what I want. Um, I know I need to hold up my end of the bargain of being here. What are their satisfaction levels? Well, 68% are very or at least somewhat satisfied with their institution. All right. Let's see what the other students say. So what about the students who do identify as customers? This is roughly 3,200 students. The satisfaction numbers are similar, but this group is slightly less likely to have high satisfaction. 45% are somewhat satisfied with their institution, and an additional 18% are very satisfied. So that's 63% are either very or somewhat satisfied. So remember, the previous group, 68% were satisfied. This group, only 63% are satisfied. So it makes you wonder, and again, the group that doesn't view themselves as customers actually has a better feeling about their school than the students who do consider themselves as customers. Again, it's not a huge gap. It's 5% is all, but it's not nothing, right? So isn't that interesting that we have a situation where your perspective alters your satisfaction with what you get? When you go into it knowing that, yeah, it's not up to the school to give me every little thing I want and satisfy my every whim. It's up to me to actually, participate in this education process. Those students have a higher satisfaction rate about their university than the students who view themselves just as customers. So, interesting to think about that when we look at that satisfaction rates, we also should probably consider how the students view themselves in this interaction. If you view yourself as a customer, you're more likely to be very picky and complain about stuff and go, well, they aren't giving me what I want. And so you have less of a satisfaction rate. Again, it's not a lot, but I would say it's not worth ignoring. So how did they do this study? Well, nearly 3 in 10 respondents to the Inside Higher Ed Annual Student Voice Survey fielded in May in partnership with Generation Lab attend 2-year institutions, and closer to 4 in 10 are post-traditional students, meaning they attend 2-year institutions and or are 25 or older. So less than 50%. Respondents also include over 3,500 4-year students. So, for the most part, the majority are traditional 4-year students, but there is a pretty sizable sample of people who are either 2-year students or non-traditional, meaning they're slightly older than the 18 to 22 range. The results are relatively consistent across sector and a swath of student characteristics. However, 2-year college students are less likely than 4-year college students to say they consider themselves customers, both in classes and when interacting with staff and administrators outside of class, at 35% versus 43%, respectively. So this is very interesting because I would have sort of thought it would be the opposite. I would think that students who go to a 2-year college are usually looking for something quite specific. You're looking for getting some credits so that then you can transfer to a 4-year university. You're looking for some very specific job skills oftentimes. You're looking for very specific credentials sometimes, where you have a job and they're like, you need to take 6 hours of these types of classes and then you'll get a raise or something. Like that happens a lot at community colleges. Or those students are just there to try out the college experience. And so I would have thought those students would have had a much stronger correlation with, look, I just want something from you, so therefore I'm going to pay you and you give me what I want. And I would have thought, well, at the 4-year level, there is more of this like elevated academic goal. But it turns out that's not really the case. These 2-year students might be less concerned with being treated like a customer than even the 4-year students. Now, maybe that could be because the price is relatively cheap, again, comparing to a 4-year university. And so, like with anything in life, the more expensive something is, the more you think you deserve more stuff from it. Again, that's true from automobiles to burger joints. Like whatever you're paying, your expectations adjust to whatever you're paying. And if kids are not paying very much because they're going to community college, maybe their expectations are low, and so they don't think of themselves as valuable customers the way a 4-year student would who's paying 40 grand a year at some university. So maybe that's what's going on, but that is interesting that there is that discrepancy a little bit. So it gets into a little bit of whether it's a public good I would argue it's not. um, so there's questions about, well, how can you be a customer of a public good? And concerns about a creeping customer service dynamic in higher education have long worried scholars, including the authors of a 2010 paper that argued a facile customer service model of higher education undermines the instructor-learner relationship by reducing it to transactional vendor-vendee connection, one in which the institution meets the student's express needs in exchange for payment, which I agree with. It reduces, if you're thinking of yourself as a customer, you just think of this as a transaction. I believe education should be much more important than just a basic financial transaction. The article says in parentheses, think grade inflation and more. Exactly right. I'll get to that more here in a minute. That if you think I'm paying for this, I deserve the best grade possible. Well, then now there's an incentive for the teachers to basically cheat and just give you a high grade to keep you happy so you keep paying your tuition. And you're completely undermining what education is supposed to be. The name of that paper kind of says it all. The customer isn't always right. Limitations of customer service approaches to education, or why higher ed is not Burger King. Agree. So if you're someone who views students as customers, you might as well be flipping burgers, because that's all you are to them. You're just someone who, they hand you money, you hand them a product. You might as well just be a fast food place, because that's all it is anymore. But is thinking of students as customers and students thinking of themselves as customers a universally bad thing? All right, so now we get some views that support this idea. Luke Hobson, an instructional design leader and online lecturer with his own education podcast and blog, actually encouraged institutions to think of students as customers last year, citing these 5 reasons. So these 5 reasons are interesting. Focus on quality, that if you enter in a customer vendor relationship, then you're going to focus more on quality, because now you have to appease your customers. Responsiveness to needs. Number 3, enhanced accountability. Number 4, market competitiveness. And lastly, feedback loop for continuous improvements. Summing up all these points, Hobson wrote in a blog post that the most significant factor here was to emphasize caring. A business cares about their customers. Without them, they can't survive. Moreover, he said, the greatest educators I can think of share this trait in that they cared. They were passionate. They were there for the students and to see them succeed. They could all have different styles of teaching, but at the end of the day, they served their students. It's this mentality that will keep students engaged in the learning environment. Indeed, existing research links instructor caring to student trust and sense of belonging, both of which are associated with student success. Quality non-classroom student support services also promote student success. So this is all fine. This all kind of makes sense, because yes, this is what businesses need to do. But this also assumes that you can only do these things if you are a business. Again, that's not true. You can focus on quality. You can be responsive to people's needs. You can hold yourself accountable. You can still be competitive in a market. And you can use the process as a feedback loop for improvement without considering your students as customers. All right. Imagine, this isn't involving finances, but imagine a church. Okay. So let's take money out of the equation, because the assumption is that you can only do things if there's a customer relationship. Well, churches don't do that. Like, a church should focus on offering quality preaching. A church can respond to the visitors to that church, their needs. They can be accountable to not only the people who attend that church, but also the greater church community, the denomination they're a part of, all that stuff. They can be competitive by expressing, what they do really well, and again, providing those services for people if they want, and they can constantly evaluate themselves to try to improve. It doesn't require any financial transaction. So how come a church can do it and a school can't? So now when we add money, these people think that, there's a money transaction, therefore that's the only way to do these things. It's like, no, it depends on what your ethos is. If your ethos is, we believe in XYZ, and therefore this is what we do here. And if people want it, great. If they don't, fine. But for those people that do, here's what we're going to provide. And you may not like all the things we provide, and if so, you can go somewhere else. But this is what we do. And with that, we're going to focus on quality. We are going to respond to what we think you need based on what we offer. We're going to hold ourselves accountable that what we say we offer, we are actually offering. Because of our uniqueness in the market, we can be competitive, and we can constantly evaluate ourselves to see if we can improve. Why can't a school think that way based on their ethos, not based on treating people as financial transactions? You can do that. So when people say, well, you need to think of them as customers because that will force you to improve your quality, to be accountable. Like, you can be accountable and have quality and all that stuff without any of those financial concerns. Hobson also wrote that it's crucial to maintain a balance. Education is not a typical consumer good, and the primary goal of a university should be to educate and foster intellectual development, not just to satisfy customer demands. Oh, wait a second. So that's the opposite of what you just said. Let's remember what he literally just said in the previous paragraph. He wrote in a blog post that the most significant factor for a school. But the next paragraph he says, well, the primary goal of a school should be to educate and foster intellectual development. Oh, so the primary factor isn't treating your student like a customer. It isn't just caring. It's the education and intellectual development. Quote, not just to satisfy customer demands. So even the people who say this have a hard time reconciling in their own brain, well, yeah, we're not actually just in a customer service industry. We also actually have to do this other thing too. Right. So that's what those of us who disagree with you are saying, is that you can't just view this as a financial transaction that, well, they're paying us money, therefore I have to give them what they want and serve their every need. No, a school's mission isn't to just sell diplomas. A school's mission is exactly what he just said, to educate and foster intellectual development. So what is your actual goal? So for these schools, and this is where the conflict occurs, because you're going to have to, at one point, you're going to have to pick one of those. And too often schools are picking, well, we need the money, so we'll just give them what they want. We'll treat them as customers, and whatever the kids ask for, we'll just give it to them. That's what happens. Instead of saying, no, we will try to serve our students, but we serve a higher purpose than that. We serve this thing called education and intellectual development. And maybe some schools even more than that, like this nurturing of the soul kind of thing, a contribution to the citizenry kind of thing. You know, we're supposed to have much higher goals than just how many dollars can I bring in by serving these customers, right? So at some point, those two things are going to come into conflict because you can't serve two gods. You can't do both. And one of those is going to have to bend to the other one. And many schools, they're going, well, we'll sacrifice our mission because we need their money. And after all, the kids say they need a diploma, so it's fair. You give us money, we'll give you a diploma. And oh, that pesky mission about fostering intellectual development or, shaping the soul in some way or developing good citizens or whatever we use for education, those get pushed aside. So it's about what your ethos is. It's not about customer service. It's about what do you believe in as a school, not as a business, as a school. Because if you want to be a business, go be a business. But you're acting like a school. So what do you believe in? And it's the belief system that should draw students to your school, not the financial transaction. I'll get to more of that here in a moment. Students are coming to learn because they don't have all the answers. They want to get better and they are seeking the expertise from the institution. The focus should be on helping them reach their goals. Yeah, exactly. That doesn't mean you have to treat them like customers. You can do that in a non-customer service model, which is what schools should do. So there is an opposing side, which I tend to agree with. So let's hear, now that we've heard from the pro-customer side, let's hear from some alternatives. Various scholars have proposed alternatives to the customer service model of higher education. Here's one example, student as client. So instead of customer, we frame it as client. Scholar Keith B. Murray, for instance, proposed in a December Inside Higher Ed opinion piece that it's better to think of students as clients. Whereas vendors need to appeal to customers via a product at an attractive price point, he wrote, in client-type transactions, exchange of time, effort, and money by the consumer is predicated on one party's professional expertise and advice. Typical client-based vendor examples include physicians, dentists, financial advisors, tax preparers, accountants, veterinarians, therapists, and professors. So this is a really good way of thinking about it. I'll come back in a second. Faculty and staff as stewards. It's another option. Instead of the customer service, it's faculty and staff are stewards. Scholar Jeffrey Vetrano, in responding to the previous scholar's piece, also offered this. Faculty and staff at institutions of higher education are stewards of both our students and their educations. As such, we take personal responsibility for granting them every opportunity to succeed by maintaining strong ethics as identified in the previous client relationship model. As stewards, every action we take is for the care and development of our students, and we strive for much more than a client-vendor relationship. So part of that is true. This is where we have to figure out, okay, well, who's the beneficiary of what we're offering? All right, so here's where you can kind of combine both. Too many schools have moved to a model of, well, it's the student or their parents who are paying, therefore we need to appease them. And so since they're paying, they're now a customer, so we need to give them whatever they ask for. And therefore they'll think of us as a good university. And it needs to go beyond that because, yes, the student or their parents are the ones paying, but they're not actually the customer. I said this before. Who's the customer? Who's the beneficiary of this transaction? Yes, it's the student. Hopefully they get smarter and that leads to bigger and better things. But really, what educators are supposed to be aiming at is not the individual student, it's the culture. The culture is our customer. Unlike Burger King, where Burger King isn't necessarily cared about the culture. They care, are you happy with the burger that I just sold you? That's really all they care about. Educators are supposed to think of something a bit bigger than that. Okay? We're not supposed to just focus on that one kid paying his tuition. Our job is to improve the whole culture. We as educators want our entire culture to have more wisdom, to be able to make more or have better choices in their life, to be more moral. These are cultural, problems we're trying to solve here. Not just what does that kid want to study and can I just hand him a diploma for that field? No, we're trying to influence the whole culture by offering this in many cases, a broad-based education. So we can't think of it as just a customer relationship. This idea of steward is important if we think of who the real customer is, which is the whole culture. Now, I actually do like the client model because, again, you're going to someone for expertise. And it's just like if I go to the doctor. Yeah, I pay the doctor, but am I his customer or her customer? I don't think so. I have to pay them because I'm paying them for their expertise. And, they need to make a living. And so they're charging me for their knowledge that they have or their ability to prescribe me medicine or whatever. But I don't think of them as a business, just like I hope they don't think of me as a customer. So as a customer, just like when I go to Burger King, right? What's Burger King's motto? Have it your way right away. Well, the doctor shouldn't give me what I want. Right? This is the whole problem with the pharmaceuticals on television that's being debated. Like, should there be these commercials going on? Because what's happening is people are sitting at home in the evening watching television, and they go, "Oh, I think I might have those symptoms. That drug looks amazing. I'm going to go to my doctor next week and ask for that drug." Well, the doctor's job is not to treat you like a customer and go, "Oh, this is what you want? Okay, I'll give you what you want." Just like you ordered this type of burger, I'll give you that type of burger. That's what happens at Burger King. The doctor doesn't do that. The doctor's job is to go, "Well, you don't have all those symptoms. That medication is better for these types of patients, not necessarily you. If we do think we have that, maybe there's something we could try first. And if it gets worse, then maybe we'll move to a prescription of some kind." Like, the doctor's job is to walk you through, because they're the expert, all the different options for how you could improve your life, not just sell you medicine as you would a customer, okay? A good doctor tries to help you improve your life in some way, even if you don't agree with it. Even if you say, "No, I want this medicine," the doctor should say, "No, I'm not going to prescribe that because that's not the right medicine for you. I know you think you want it, but that's not correct." And so as a good steward or as a good provider, and as you as my client, I'm not going to do that. My job is to care for you. My job is to use my knowledge to determine what's in your best interest. And then we can discuss how you want to deal with that. You can either take my advice or not. That's your choice. But you're paying me for the advice I'm going to offer. And then whatever it is you do with it is up to you. But my job is not to appease you as my customer. Okay? It's the same thing for lawyers. Like, that's why there's the old cliche that, he who has himself as a lawyer has a fool for a client, or whatever is the saying. Like, yeah, you're going to an expert because they know more than you. So if you think you know so much, just like if I go to the doctor and I tell the doctor, "You need to give me this," it's like, well, why do you think you know more than the doctor? Same thing with the lawyer. Like, you're not a lawyer. Just pay someone for their service to give you advice. Again, you don't have to take it, but you should get their input. It's the same thing with education. You're paying for the opportunity to get the advice, the instruction and education from, those teachers or those staff members. And then what you do with it is up to you. We are here to help you, but we're the experts because we've been studying this for 30 years or however long. We've published books about it. We've, invented products and done scientific innovations. We've been teaching this whole time. We know what we're talking about, at least supposedly. So if you want to be a part of that environment, okay, here's the fee for entering, and then now you can take whatever it is we're going to offer if you want it. But it's not a customer relationship where the student goes, I want this, and then it's incumbent upon the university to hand it to them. That's what you do when you order a burger. I want that burger. I see it on the menu right there. Here's the price. Here's my money. Give that to me. And the person goes, well, you paid for it, so I have to give it to you now. That's the exchange. That's not what happens at a doctor's office. That's not what happens with lawyers. That's not what should happen with teachers. Yes, it's a combination of both of these things. It is a stewardship because we are supposed to care about you and our industry, education, more than just the money I get out of you. And it's also a client relationship because I'm the one offering advice or instruction of some kind, and then you can take it for what you think it's worth and use it in some way. That's what it actually is. So this perspective is much, much better than the student as customer model. It's something, these kind of go along with something I've written about and talked about elsewhere, which is I view school, or college anyway, as like a gym membership. All right, so it's sort of like this client model where you're paying to get in the door. You're paying to have access to all the machinery and the equipment. You're paying to have access to some trainers who could give you advice. That's what you're buying. Just because you walk in and put down your membership fee doesn't mean you're suddenly in shape. So you're a customer in that you paid something and you expect something in return for it. At the very minimal level, okay, there is a customer relationship, but that's not really what you're buying. When you go into a gym, you're buying for the access, for the opportunity to change yourself in some way, to develop a nutrition plan, to get in better cardio shape, to build bigger muscles, whatever it is, to be more flexible, whatever that gym offers, you're just given access to it. There is no guarantee that they're going to give that to you. What you get out of it is what you put into it. Yes, your fee is part of that, but that's not the end of the exchange. When I go to the burger joint and I order a burger, after he hands me that burger, as long as it's what I ordered, the transaction is over. I don't have anything else to do with it because I paid my money and I got what I wanted. That's it. That's not the case when you go to a doctor or a lawyer or a gym or anywhere where you're given an opportunity, but then what you do with it is totally your choice. All right? It's not a hand me my diploma situation, which is what's happening at many universities where the kids go, well, I paid $150,000. I deserve a diploma from you because that's what a diploma costs. And then the teachers and the administrators are like, well, yeah, but you didn't really do the classwork that we asked you to. And they go, I don't care. I paid my money. Give me what I paid for, which is a diploma. And then the administrators go, well, we want to keep you happy. And the teachers don't want to get fired for, losing kids. So I guess we'll give you your diploma. And so all the standards at the school start dropping and it gets way easier to get in because, schools just look at students as an ATM, basically, like, hey, here's my way of getting money from people. And that's what happens is the quality declines. And more and more schools, when you treat students like customers, this is what you end up becoming. You're just a burger vendor. People come in and go, I want a diploma, please. You go, sure, here you go. That'll be $100,000. And they pay you and they walk on their way. They're happy because they got their diploma. You're happy because you got their money. And what was actually transferred here? Not an education, okay? Not real advice, not wisdom. Well, that's what we teachers are supposed to be doing. And you administrators are supposed to be monitoring, but that doesn't happen when we view students as customers. So this idea of student as client and faculty staff as stewards is a much better perspective than the student as customer model. So to get close to the end of the article, a year later, Hobson, he was the one who was the pro customer service model, recalls that his post was one of his most polarizing ever based on the feedback he got. Some loved it, others hated it. But while he acknowledges the concerns of his peers that, for example, a customer-focused model could hurt student autonomy by shifting the responsibility for learning onto institutions, his own views haven't changed. because he doesn't have to face any of the consequences. That's why he doesn't look at this in a different way. Reviewing the data, Hobson imagines that students who describe themselves as customers believe they're paying for the ultimate learning experience, defined by a comprehensive blend of academic rigor, personalized support, and opportunities for professional and personal growth. No, students don't think like that. I'm going to show you how students think here shortly with another piece that I want to share with you. But no, 10% maybe think of university like that they want the ultimate learning experience, that they want academic rigor and this personalized interaction for personal growth with their professors. And they want to go learn from these, high ranking, high level PhDs who have done amazing research. And 10% may be high, maybe 5%. That's what they're looking for. 95% of students don't think like that. So I don't know what universe this guy's living in, because that's not what kids think. Kids think, I've been told I need a degree. I've been told they cost $100,000 or whatever. So I guess I'll save up my money, or I'll get a bunch of loans because the government will pay for it too. And I'll go to school, and then I'll say, okay, I paid my money. Hand me my diploma, please. Without as little work as possible, because they're not there for the work. They're not there for the rigor. They're there to get a piece of paper. They're there to get a credential. That's it. They're there to say they went to that school's name. That's all they care about. So again, that's not everybody, but it's so overwhelming, the majority, that's what school is to them. They don't understand the ethos of university education. And so this guy, when he's like, oh, they're a customer because they want the best. And that's what they're paying for. No, they don't. They don't want the best. They want the easiest and the fastest. And so if we're going to take this customer service model to heart, then that's what you should provide. If you want to truly serve your customer, if you know your customer, like I have for 17 years as a college professor, I know I've been around thousands of these kids. What they want is to do as little work as possible and to be done as fast as possible. So if you're an institution, then that's what you should give them. Why even go through this nonsense of 4 years of supposed education and pretending that they have all these classes and that you need all these teachers? Just say, come here, fill out this sheet, check these boxes, we'll give you a diploma. As long as you give us your money, we'll say you got an education, and we'll both go our separate ways. That's all you need to do. That would be truly serving the customer. Just like when Burger King, after they hand me the burger, like, they're done with me. As long as they gave me what I ordered, their job is done. They don't need me anymore. So after I eat the burger, I'm already full. So why, they're done. It's the same thing if you treat students like customers. You'll just get them out of your way as fast as possible. You'll get their money from them and give them what they want, which is ease and convenience, just expediency. Let me get done with this school nonsense because I hate school. I just want to be done with it and have a diploma so I can go do the next thing. Well, just give them that. That's what you're doing when you have this customer service model for students. There's no other, why would you do it any other way? This is the way that makes the most sense. Well, for anyone with a fraction of a brain, you go, well, that seems to kind of defeat the whole purpose of higher education, it seems like. Yeah, no kidding. So the dummies out there who propose a customer service model, yeah, you're diminishing your whole brand. The thing that makes you special, you're ruining it. So stop doing that. Customer service, students as customers, is not a good way of doing it. Again, he continues, and again, he's wrong about all this. In this light, students expect the best the university has to offer, including engaging faculty interactions, meaningful assignments, timely feedback, and an overall environment that fosters intellectual and practical development, he continues. They also anticipate that this education will serve as a pathway to their future goals and aspirations. The effort they invest in their learning, they hope, will directly correlate to the outcomes they receive in the form of knowledge, skills, or career opportunities. Again, ideally, but that's not actually what happens. You're thinking way too highly of students, all right? If students want engaging faculty interactions, my door is open every single day. You know how many students come in and talk to me about getting more help with their field and preparing for their future? Almost nobody. That's how much they care about faculty interactions, okay? Here I am. I'm an expert in this field. I've been doing this for decades, all right? I've worked in the private sector. I've been a teacher. I talk to people in the working world all the time. This is what I could help you with. Come visit my office. I'll be happy to chat with you, and we'll have these deep, interactions that you say you want and why you're paying your money for. Nobody does it. Or again, 5% of kids do that. Meaningful assignments. You think the kids care about what their homework is? They want it to be as easy and fast as possible. They don't care about meaningful assignments. The last thing he says, though, the effort they invest in their learning. So this is the difference. When you have a customer service model, the only investment is my money. Okay, when I go to Burger King, there's no other investment other than I had to walk in the door and open my wallet. That's it. But that's not what happens at a school, just like that's not what happens at a gym. Again, the gym gives you access, you pay your fee, you can come in. But once you're in, the investment is still on you. Okay? Just like at a university, whether or not you actually use the machinery that we provide, talk to the trainers we provide, come, more than once a month or whatever your routine is, like that's on you. It's up to you to make the most of this experience called a gym. It's the same thing at a school. We let your fee lets you in the door. It helps cover the basic expenses that we offer. Other than that, what you do while you're here is up to you. If you don't want to become fit, that's your choice. If you want to become really, really smart, that's your choice. First one at the gym, the second one at the school. But it is not incumbent upon us to give you what you think you want. You want a healthy body at the gym? Great. Welcome. Come into our facilities and work out as much as you want. Talk to our trainers if you'd like. Do whatever you want to become healthy. Go. We've provided all the physical resources for you. It's up to you now. It's the same thing at university. When you come here, here's all our faculty. Here's all our lab equipment. Here's all our staff, service people. Use whatever you want. But it's up to you if you want to become really great. If you want to become smart, if you want to become qualified for some career, if you want to gain profound wisdom for the rest of your life, well, that's up to you. We've provided it for you if you want it. But it's up to you whether or not you want to invest your own energy into achieving it. So the idea of investment is so wrong for these people. Well, they've invested in this education. No, I've invested in a burger. That's what I do when I go to the counter. I bought a burger, hoping that it would satisfy my hunger. That was my investment. When you go to a school, your investment doesn't stop with your tuition payment. Your investment is your time, your energy, your ability to reach out and seek out more information. You have a lot of investing still to do. And when you have a customer service model, you don't think that way. You think, it's up to us to provide everything that your little heart desires. And that's, again, a gym doesn't do that. A gym never guarantees that you're going to become, ripped and in super good shape. They don't do that because it's up to you. Just like a university. A university can't say, you come here and you'll become, the most qualified computer engineer in America. Nope. We have the faculty that can help you. We have the equipment that you can practice on. You can try your best, but it's up to you what you get out of it. That's the difference. So these people, they don't understand students. And if they do understand students, which is that students just want fast and easy, they're going to completely reduce the quality of their product. And that's happening at many, many universities. University education really doesn't mean that much anymore, which is why so many businesses require you go to get a master's degree or a PhD now, because they know those first 4 years of college is so watered down and meaningless that literally they just handed you a diploma. You didn't have to do any of the work. You didn't have to study. We know from the data that student study habits are lower than ever, and yet grades are higher than ever. How does that occur? We're purposefully sending students out into the world who don't actually have an education, but they have their diploma because that's what the customer service model guaranteed them. Come here, pay your money, I'll hand you a diploma. And that's all they wanted. And so now we have, again, all the data shows that employers out in the culture are really upset with young people because they're like, yeah, you guys aren't qualified. You don't know anything. Not because you're 22. It's because you had 4 years of education opportunity that you didn't take advantage of because all you did was buy a diploma. And so now the culture is harmed by what universities are doing. When you treat students as customers, you harm the student because you mislead them on what actually you're providing them, but you actually harm the culture. Everyone is worse off because of what you're doing when you treat people as customers. Another lady concludes here. She's a vice president for research and policy at this someplace. She viewed the data and says she understands the impulse to think about students as customers or even clients, and she's recently been on the student side of this conversation. helping two people close to her choose a college based on their very different needs and wants. This lady's own mother returned to community college to advance specific career goals, while her high school daughter is exploring colleges based on her ability to deliver a well-rounded education both in and outside the classroom. Yeah, if you have specific goals, that's fine. Still, she worries that framing the student as customer can sometimes reinforce harmful misconceptions about the nature of higher education, particularly in a time when our field is under such political scrutiny. Instead of using terms such as client or customer, we need to focus on a more meaningful conversation about the value we provide and the outcomes we generate for students and society. Again, society, that's who should benefit, not the student only. Higher education's value is rooted in evidence that shows how students' lives and communities improve after degree completion, whether it's an associate, bachelor's, or graduate degree. We have a responsibility to communicate this impact effectively through data, outcomes, and success stories to students, parents, industry leaders, and policy makers. It's closer to the right track, but again, that doesn't necessarily. You better make sure you have the right ethos from a university standpoint. Otherwise, you can still fall into the customer trap. Because now she's just saying, well, we just need to make a better sales pitch. It's like, well, it depends on what you're selling. Okay, if you're just selling the customer service model, all those things she just said, you could still do that with a customer service model. Or you could do all those things she just said about, making sure we convey how we influence the wider culture. But that goes to the ethos of your school. She finishes with, language and terminology can often be our worst enemies in this conversation, as the terms we use are not always understood outside of the academic world. We need to be intentional about the way we communicate, especially as we navigate misconceptions about what students expect from us. So that's partly true. The way we frame things is part of the problem here. And calling students customers using that terminology is a really, really bad idea. We can't talk about students as customers. Yes, they're paying a fee, but just because someone's paying something doesn't make them a customer. Just because I pay my doctor, I don't want him thinking of me as a customer. All right, that's really bad thinking. Now, something else I came across, I was scrolling through social media, and someone involved in education posted an article from Harvard that I thought was interesting. When I looked at it, I realized, oh, this is actually a very old article. It was just getting passed around right now. But so even though it's old, I think it is worth exploring just for a few moments. Again, this is from Harvard Business Publishing, so on their actual Harvard website. So part of what this author is going to explain is that, to pick up on what we just talked about with the customer service model, that universities need to realize what exactly the students want and then tailor your university to try to attract those types of students. It's like, okay, that sounds fine. Again, that can cause a lot of problems, but it depends on, again, what your ethos is. What is your belief structure for your university? And so this is how the article approaches that dilemma. So there are a lot of poor outcomes. A lot of students try college, they don't complete it, they go to the wrong college. They're graduating college, but they're not really skilled. There's all these poor outcomes, and so he says one of the reasons is that institutions have failed to understand what people are hoping to accomplish by attending college. Put another way, they haven't considered what the job to be done that individuals have when they enroll. In other words, when I go to that place, there's a job I want you to perform for me, and there are subjective values built into this where everyone's going to have a different performance that they want accomplished, and it's up to the universities to kind of figure out, well, what do the students want and what can we do to provide that for them? So again, this is sort of the customer service model. It's just being more specific on, well, maybe you just need to find the right types of customers, or you just need to service them in a better way. He's saying this is what colleges could do. Approach it more from a, what job are you performing for this kid perspective. So he says there are 5 of those that are pulling and pushing people to make decisions that range from functional considerations to emotional and social considerations. And here are the 5. Number 1, help me get into my best school. So students are sitting at home going, I want you to perform the job for me that, you are a name brand and I'm going to consider you a best school option. So he says the students in this job typically want the classic college experience with the beautiful campus and prestigious brand name school so they can reinvent themselves with new people, but they have rarely thought about what they will do once they are enrolled. For them, making progress is all about getting accepted. A math major in this job would say something like, help me get my math degree from Harvard. Progress for this group is tied explicitly to getting into the best as they define the best for them. So here's what schools should do. Many colleges are set up well for this because many students here are buying the classic college experience that they've been led to expect, yet there is likely a limit to the number of colleges that can win at this job. So that's exactly right. So, well, what do students want? Unlike what that other guy said was, oh, students want rigor and they want relationships with their faculty and they want this, these projects to work on that are so meaningful. No, no. Many students just want status. They want to say, I want my degree to say Harvard on it. Okay, that's one option. As he says, though, the problem is there are very few schools that can really survive on that because 99.9% of schools, it doesn't matter where you go. All right. Yes, if you're Harvard. Yes, if you're Princeton. Yes, if you're Stanford. Yes, if you're MIT. Whatever. There are going to be students who only want to go to that school. They don't care even what degree they're going to study. They just want the diploma at the end of it that says Princeton or whatever. So we have to remember that students are looking for status, and schools could try to provide that, except that one's very hard to do. Those schools have lots of money and, in case of Harvard, 300 years of reputation that they can bank on. So, yeah, students are looking for status in many cases. What else are students looking for? Help me do what's expected of me. These students are going to satisfy someone else's expectations of them. Parents, spouse, friends, guidance counselor, teacher, mentor, or the community. Similar to those who seek to get into the best schools, they see school as the next logical step in their journey. They also don't have or can't see other options. Although these students are apathetic about their choice, they comfort themselves with the knowledge that having a degree will provide a safety net and something to fall back on. So this is quite common. Students, they're like, well, people tell me I got to go to college, so I don't really like school. I barely, had any interest in high school, but everyone says you got to get a college degree, so I guess I'm here. So now what? Well, I guess I'm here because I need a diploma. So give me my diploma, please. I paid my money, so that's all I care about. That is a great majority of students, I would say. Um, Again, if you're not out of school for status, what are you there for? It's probably because someone told you you had to, and you're like, I don't care. I just want my diploma at the end of all this. I'll suffer for the next 4 years of doing your stupid homework assignments and listen to you lecture, but at the end, just give me my diploma and I'll get out of here. So, because after all, my parents made me do this. I didn't really care about it. So that's a real thing. And so he says, well, what should schools do? Consider counseling students into a gap year or structure yourself as a transfer college, a short-term destination that helps students get into the right school for them. Okay. I don't know of any 4-year school that thinks of themselves like this. 2-year schools might, they kind of know it's part of being a 2-year school. Students are going to leave and probably go to some other university if they want to continue on. So it's understandable for them. But most colleges are not going to tell students, hey, you know what? Maybe you shouldn't come to this school. Maybe you should take a gap year. Now, I'm saying they probably should do that, but no school's actually going to do that. A school is going to go, oh, you want to come to school? You got 100 grand on you? Great, you're in. Go ahead and come to my school. We'd love to have you. Oh, you don't really care about school? You don't like studying? You don't like learning things? That's okay. You got money? Come on in. We'll take you. So no school is thinking of themselves as a short-term destination that will help them transfer to some other school. If you're transferring to some other school, that means that school gets the money, right? These administrators want to keep the money for themselves. So, counseling students in this way, like, that might be the right thing to do, but no school is actually going to do that. So if you're a school that's struggling, like many are, getting to know what the real reason those students are here for and counseling them this way, like, you're going to lose that student. And if you're already struggling, well, you're flushing money down the toilet. So again, he's exactly right that there are many students who think this way, but no school is going to treat them that way. They just don't. Number 3 option that students want from schools: to help me get away. The students with this job are looking to get away from their day job, break current habit, or leave home and their family, town, or particular relationship. They're looking to go to a place where they know they'll be where they will know a supportive person and to check a box with a degree. Okay, so these are people who are, again, sort of like the last group that other people told me to do this, or they're like, look, I just need something different. I see all my friends doing this. I don't want to do that, so I guess I'll try college. Or I'm 18. I'm sick of living at home. I need to go somewhere else. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know how I'm going to make money yet, but I guess I'll go to school. I'll just try it. And so that's certainly what some people do. So what should schools do, he says? Revamp your first year program to help students build passions and learn what they don't like. Okay. So first of all, we're admitting, as he said, that these are students who are there to check a box. Okay. So they don't really care about learning stuff. They're there to just get a diploma. Now, as he's saying, hopefully along the way you might be able to build something that they become passionate about. But also, fair enough, except this goes against what many would argue is the liberal arts philosophy. Like, we're not here to teach you what you don't like. We're here to teach you how everything is important. That even if you're a math major, you should take this literature class because it's going to be really valuable from a growth perspective as a person, as a citizen, as a human being. You shouldn't just take math the whole time. Even if you don't think you like literature, you should take this literature class. Or if you're a literature student, you should really go take this chemistry class because it's important to understand some of the basic realities of our physical world. And, you may not like it, but it's really important for you to take it. That's what the liberal arts perspective is. So you better be a very specific type of school if you're going to revamp your program to help students learn what they don't like. Like most students don't like everything. Or to put it the other way, they don't like anything. I mean, it's amazing. As I've said before on here, I've said, I used to have, because I would teach some gen ed classes, and I've had all these business majors because that's always the most populated major at every school. And I'd have these business majors in class, and I would bring up some sort of business topic, and they wouldn't have any idea what I was talking about and wouldn't be really interested. I'm like, I thought you liked business. Isn't that what your major is? What are you doing? Oh, well, yeah, but I just needed a degree to study, and I just thought this would, that would be the easiest is usually what students fall back on. They say, oh, it'll be the most transferable to anything. It's like, no, it's the easiest because I knew that's why they were there. Business tends to draw lower level students. So again, most students don't like anything. Even in their major, they don't really like it many times. So, again, you're gonna design your whole university around, trying to expose what kids don't like. Well, that's easy. Kids don't like anything. So I don't know how this works from a university standpoint when you're trying to actually serve these kids. And again, if you're doing it from a customer service model, then you would completely get rid of all liberal arts. You'd be a vocational school. You'd be like, we're just a business school. If you want business, come here. Because that way you probably already like it, and so you'll stay and graduate. Or be a veterinary school, or like whatever specific program. If you want to do that, fine. And I don't disagree with that, actually. But this would eliminate, especially from a customer service standpoint, this would eliminate basically all liberal arts models. So that would require a major ethos change. Number 4 out of 5, he says, help me step it up. Students in this job turn to school when they don't recognize themselves in some part of their life. They want to get away from the current place of employment, role, or habit and are ready to step it up and do better. They typically feel like time is running out and they're afraid of where they're headed unless they take action. They know that specific practical skills or certifications will help them get back on track. A student with this job may want to be a data analyst because it pays well, and she sees that majoring in math will be a ticket to that role. Okay, so again, from a customer standpoint, how would you serve that customer? He says, create pathways that move students through a clear, fixed set of learning experiences that result in students' desired outcome in as convenient a fashion as possible. Okay? Well, the most expedient and convenient fashion as possible is don't make them take rigorous courses. Basically, just have them do the simplest assignments. Why even go through the problem of taking classes anyway? Have them just sit through some basic seminar and go, ta-da, you're now ready to graduate. Pay us your money, and we gave you a very simple learning experience that resulted in your desired outcome. After all, you wanted a diploma. You wanted the certification. We'll make it very convenient. You don't even have to do any work. So here, we'll just lower all the standards because you want convenience. We'll give it to you. Here you go. I'm serving the customer. It's like, yeah, that's one way of doing it. You're going to quickly lose your reputation as a school if you're listening to students who think they just want things done in a convenient a fashion as possible. And again, that result in a student's desired outcome. That's not what you're supposed to do. Okay? Yes, if I go to the doctor, I might say my desired outcome is to be healthy. Okay? Well then, how do I do that? Well, I better listen to what the doctor says. Or at least try out what he says. I can change my mind later, but might want to listen to him. But that's not what students do. Their desired outcome is hand me a diploma. Okay, again, 95% of them. So if that's what your type of students you're getting, then your only option from a customer service standpoint is hand them the diploma. Why go through anything else? None of that matters. If their desired outcome is simply convenience and hand me my piece of paper, Why do anything else? That's the problem you're going to run into if you think of students as customers, which is what this is describing. Lastly, number 5, the student wants the school to help me extend myself. Students with this job are looking to learn more and challenge themselves so they can pursue a clear vision and get some practical skills or certification. Life is okay, and they are now able to make time and allocate the budget to pursue this vision. So what should schools do? Make your program as low risk as possible to encourage people to enroll and make the experiences in the program highly personal so that it aligns with the emotional reasons students are attending. Okay, so this one is 5th, and this is the one that's most close to what should probably be the right answer. All right, as it said, looking to learn more and challenge themselves so they can pursue a clear vision and get some practical skills. This is what students should go to school for. Challenge, pursue, okay? That's like going to a gym. I go to my gym 4 days a week because I like pushing myself. I have a fairly clear vision of what I want my health and lifestyle to look like as I get older and my body, it starts failing, as happens in your mid 40s. Like I want my life to look a certain way. And so therefore I realize I need to go put in the work at this location to make myself, achieve those challenging goals. Okay? They're not going to do it for me. It's up to me to go do that. They're giving me the opportunity. It's the low risk entrance. Like, okay, I pay my fee, I'm in. Now it's up to me. All right? So and the reasons I'm going are personal to me. I it's not like I need to get in shape for a marathon. It's not like I need to get in shape for a wedding I'm in or something. Like, no, it's just my own personal reasons why I want to do it. And that I like the challenge of pushing myself that way. Well, every student has their own reasons too. The thing we have to realize though is that for this last group, like I said, that's about 5% of kids. 95% of students are in those other categories. They either want status, they're just doing it because their parents told them to, or their guidance counselor at school told them to, or whatever, or they've heard someone say, you need college, even though you probably don't. They're doing it just to check a box. They don't really care about this stuff. They're like, I've been told I need college, so I'm here, and but I want to avoid learning as much as possible because I don't like all those other things. So I guess I'll study, biology because I guess that's kind of cool, and I'll do it to just get my diploma. It's out of convenience that, I just want to go do this thing and make it as easy as possible. And then finally, there's 5% of kids who are like, you know what? No, I want to be great at something. I want to be like one of the top scholars. I want to be so valuable that I can go do anything, that I can get, jobs doing really interesting projects or work for interesting companies that are really going to influence the culture positively. And I want it to be tough because I want to be really smart. Yeah, that's 5% of kids. And you don't design a school from using customer service to attract those kids. Okay? Because the customer service is, well, just make it as easy as possible. That's what 95% of kids want. So that's what you're going to give them. Low standards, let everyone in, easy access to everybody. Oh yeah, there is this fee, but actually we're going to give you a discount. We're going to give you a coupon. That's how much we need your business. So those are 2 articles about the idea of customer service and why students are attending and what universities should do about it. This is important to me because, as I've said before, I've taught at various colleges. I taught at Research One big universities. I've taught at small private colleges. I've taught community college. I've done it all in my many years as a college professor. And I was in a meeting once, or like a kind of event or whatever, and at one of those schools many years ago. And an administrator, was up giving a little presentation. And it was faculty, it was staff, it was like all sorts of people there, and administrators. And this person didn't have any background in education. Neither did most of the other administrators. Like, these are people who don't understand education at these high levels. And so here's a guy, he was talking about money stuff. And he started going into a spiel about, we need to care for our kids like they're our customers. We need to serve them like customers. I was like, no. And I looked around at the other faculty, those of us who've been doing this a long time, and we're kind of like exchanging eye glances like, oh, yeah, you don't get it. You don't understand that that's not what education is. He came from the business world, and so he thought he could take this business principle and apply it to education. It's like, nope, these are different things. We have higher values than just a financial transaction here. Yes, we all understand that we need to take in some money so that we can keep the doors open, just like a gym does. Okay, yeah, they need to charge people so that they can have a facility with air conditioning and equipment and staff and all that stuff. We get it. You got to make money. I understand that, but that's not the goal from a transaction standpoint. The transaction, yes, gave you a little bit of money, but that didn't complete it. Just like at the gym, there's something else you got to participate in here. Okay, your job is not to just snap your fingers, take their money, and suddenly they're in shape. It's the same thing here at the university. When the students pay their tuition fee, your job is to let them in and provide them all the resources that you say you provide. But then you also have to live by what you believe in. You also have to say, look, as a university, our specific university believes this. We're not like other universities. We have, these levels of minimal standards to get in. We have these levels of standards for you to stay here. If you're not achieving these standards, we're going to kick you out. We have, we have these types of programs you can study. If you wanted something else, you got to go somewhere else. We teach with this kind of pedagogical philosophy. If you don't like that, you got to go somewhere else. Like, here are what we believe in. Here are our standards. We think this is what comprises excellence for us. And if you want to be a part of it, come on in. It's just like a gym that says, we offer equipment and cardio machines. That's what we offer. If that's what you're interested in, great. We don't offer Pilates classes here. If that's what you think you want, that's great. We respect you, but you're going to have to go to somewhere else that offers that. We don't have a swimming pool here. If you want to get a swimming workout, you're going to have to go somewhere else. It's the same thing. You lay out, here's what we believe in, and here's what we provide, and here's why we provide it. And if you want to come and join it, great. If you don't, that's fine. And we have too many schools that this guy's article he finishes up with, he says, just because students in each of the different jobs said students might want to major in math does not mean all colleges should be accepting them all as math majors or that they are set up to serve them all well. Yet this is precisely what most colleges have done. In an effort to be all things to all people, most institutions of higher education have created one-size-fits-all offerings that serve few well and incur extraordinary overhead costs to deal with the complexity of serving students with very different motivations for enrolling. Schools must make hard choices. They need to identify which job they will serve along with the requisite experiences they must offer to help people be successful at that job. So that's basically what he ends. This is what schools need to do. So yeah, being everything to everybody isn't going to work. All right. You can do that if you are a giant university and you have tons of money because you're state funded or whatever, or you're some elite school that you have billions of dollars in endowment and you can kind of offer whatever you want. You could get away with that and try to be everything to everybody. But even then, if you did that, there are going to be people who don't like that. All right. I like that In-N-Out Burger doesn't sell tacos and chicken sandwiches. That's what Jack in the Box does. I don't like Jack in the Box. That place it's no good. Okay. I want a burger joint that makes really good burgers for a good price. That's why I go there. So part of what students are searching for is a place that is exclusive, that, you're not like everyone else. Because if you were, then if you're going to be just like everyone else, then a student is simply just going to go to whatever the cheapest is. If I know I'm going to get the same thing at all these places or something close to the same, I'm just going to go to the cheapest place. So now you're just in a race to the bottom because of customer service. We need to give them what they want and we need to make it as cheap as possible. You're just racing to the bottom, which means the quality of your product suffers. Or you could say, we offer this thing, this type of education, and we're going to charge this for it because this is what we feel it's worth. If you don't like it, there are other places to go. If you do like it, this will give you access to these types of faculty members, to these types of campus resources, whatever. But that's all it is access. We are not giving you a diploma. You have to earn it when you're here. And you need to abide by our ethos that we work from here at this university. If you want to do that, great. If you don't, fine. But this is what we do here. And we do it really, really well because we've focused on quality and excellence here to provide this type of thing really well. We don't provide everything to everybody. I'm sorry. It's not affordable for us to do that. And frankly, a lot of those things we don't believe in anyway. So we believe in this. We're going to do this great. And we want great students who also believe in this thing that want access to what we do. So please come join us. But schools aren't doing that. They're doing what he just said, which is they're trying to be everything to everybody, and they're trying to give the kids what they want, which is, they want it to be easy, fast, cheap, and they just want a piece of paper with their name on it at the end of it. That's all. So that's what's going to end up happening is we're going to have schools that pretty much you don't have to actually do much when you're there, and just hang out, pay your bill, and we'll give you a diploma. That's it. So I've been at these schools that have gone to customer service models, and it's not good. It ruins the entire environment because these are people who don't understand the higher aims of what education is supposed to be, and that's unfortunate. So the way that schools will be saved is you zero in on what it is you can provide excellently, and then you go and find students who also want that excellent thing, and then that's the connection. That's how you build. So you avoid going out of business by not making it more accessible. You avoid going out of business by making it more focused, and you find the specific people who actually want what you're selling, and that's how you do a good job, and you gain a good reputation. And the people who want to pay that tuition fee actually are excited about being there. They aren't one of those people who are just like, well, my folks told me I had to go to college, or I don't know what else to do. I wanted to get away from my hometown, so I guess I'll show up here. I just want something fast and easy because they said I need a diploma. Yeah, you want to get rid of all those kids, okay? You want to weed them out, either at the door by saying, nope, we don't do that here. We don't just take you because you don't have a clue what you're doing with your life. We want people who are passionate and excited and are ready to work really hard. If that's you, come on in. If that's not, go wander around for a while and figure it out and then come here. Or if you want, give them 1 year, go, well, okay, looks like you don't know what you're doing. We'll give you 1 year to try us out and see if you're a good fit. But after that, if you're not up to it, we're going to send you on your way because you're not good enough to be here. Or you don't, believe in the same things we believe in or whatever. That's what you do. It's that easy. Just like In-N-Out Burger says, yeah, if you want tacos, go somewhere else. We don't do that here. But if you want a really great burger at a reasonable price, come to our place. You narrow the focus of your institution and stop trying to be everything to everybody. That's the first way to signal, oh, you're about to go out of business. You're desperate. That's what desperate people do. It's like, well, let's let everybody in. Let's give them discounts to encourage them to come in. Nope, that means you're probably on your way out. And I've seen it happen. And those are schools that they're not fun to be with because you got so many people from the administrators all the way down to the students who are not there for a good reason. You're not all on the same page. We teach for a certain reason. Like we believe in most of us anyway, believe in excellence and that our field is important, and the research we do and the writing and the teaching we do are really valuable for the culture. But if you get people who are just there to make it a financial transaction, you suddenly have an entire campus full of people who are not at all on the same page. Like they're all doing different things, and that's a really bad environment for any company, not just schools. So, sorry that was a little long, 2 articles there to go through, but we need to get rid of this idea of the customer service model pertaining to students. It's not good. It's not even accurate, and it harms the students and it harms the schools most of all because it just ruins everybody's reputation. So we need to get away from that. As I've said for a while now, I've been working on this plan to revise the educational model. I'm hoping to have that out in the next week or two. I've just been busy with other things, so I will present an alternative model of education here shortly, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, thanks for listening. I'll see you next time.